Countdown to kickoff continuing. Let's head out to Phoenix, University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, with Greg Esposito of ArizonaSports.com. Greg, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
The Arizona Cardinals, let's talk about them. A team that went to the Super Bowl just a few years ago, seemed to have a limited identity in the running game with Beanie Wells and Chris Hightower. Of course, Hightower now a Redskin. Beanie's still around. Do they see Wells as their guy?
Well, he pretty much has to be after the injury to rookie Ryan Williams, who they were expecting big things out of. Now Beanie Wells is going to be the guy taking a majority of the carries. They want to add a veteran running back at some point, but they're waiting to see what the first and second rounds of cuts bring from around the NFL. So if there was ever a year that former first-round pick Beanie Wells is going to prove himself, it's this one.
Who are they looking at, by the way?
Now, we've heard various names, but there really hasn't been anything solid. There's been some talk about, possibly either Ryan Grant or Dimitri Nance, whichever running back doesn't make it in Green Bay. There's also been some talk about Chester Taylor, if he's the odd man out in Chicago. But there's a large list of names that they're reportedly looking at, and they're going to take their time to find the right guy to back up Wells.
And another identity problem was the quarterback. Last year was Derek Anderson, Max Hall, John Skelton, all splitting reps. Does this team feel they have found their guy in Kevin Kolb, and what would be the expectations, in your opinion, in year one?
Oh, they better hope that they found their guy, because they committed a lot of money to Kevin Kolb in the contract extension and gave up a lot to get him in giving up Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and a second-round pick. I believe in the guy. I was very excited to see this team go out and get pretty much the most talked about quarterback out there on the market this offseason. And so far this preseason, it's been mundane, but really he's only been with the team 2 weeks. I think they expect big things out of him this year, especially connecting with Larry Fitzgerald.
Let's talk about that star, Larry Fitzgerald. His numbers have gone down since Anquan Boldin left, and of course Steve Breston left via free agency this past offseason. Is there a position that needs improving, like the wide receiver position?
Well, the running back one that we already addressed is probably a bigger concern right now than the receiver spot, because obviously they believe in Larry Fitzgerald, and yes, his production was down, but like you mentioned earlier, he had guys like Derek Anderson and Max Hall throwing to him for a majority of last season. They believe in the second-year receiver Andre Roberts, that he'll step up and be a number two. Early Doucette out of LSU, they've expected a lot out of him. He's been injury-prone, but they think he can be that guy to catch balls over the middle, similar to what Anquan Boldin did. Steven Williams, another young guy that they think can step up. And one name to keep an eye on is this year's seventh-round draft pick, DeMarco Sampson. He has been the talk of training camp and could have an impact at that wide receiver spot going into the season.
How's Adrian Wilson coming along from that torn bicep he suffered August 6th?
He was back on the practice field doing non-contact work, but in pads and a helmet as of Tuesday, and he's still talking that week one at home against the Carolina Panthers is his goal to get back on the field. And if you've ever paid much attention to Adrian Wilson's career, he is one of the toughest guys in the NFL, so you can't discount him. But last year he played with injuries, and he had an off year, even though he went to the Pro Bowl. Expect him to play, but don't expect him to be the Adrian Wilson that just crushed people in previous years.
Darnell Dockett, certainly one of the more entertaining Cardinals, to say the least, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, especially if you follow him on Twitter. You never quite know what he's going to say, and this is the year where it's time for him to play like he wants everybody to believe he is. He talks a big game, acts like he's one of the superstars in the league. It's time for him to step up and be that. The Cardinals gave him big money, and he has to live up to that hype this year.
Another guy, Joey Porter, before the season asked to take a pay cut once the lockout ended. He seemed incredibly peeved by it. How exactly did the problem resolve, and is this most likely his last season in a Cardinals uniform?
This very well could be his last season anywhere in the NFL. He was not what the Cardinals hoped he'd be last year at that spot, and the money thing could work as a motivator for him to try to prove that he's still that guy, but he's getting pushed, at linebacker by rookie Sam Acho out of Texas, and who knows? I think he may not even be starting come midway through this season.
That's incredible. Let's go to Facebook, facebook.com/TYT Sports. Yasin Issa asked you, is Fitzgerald worth all that money on his contract?
Yes, and it's twofold. I understand $120 million, $50 guaranteed is a lot to give to a receiver, and a lot of people outside of Arizona didn't quite understand it. But with the Cardinals, it's about perception. And for years, they were looked at as a cheap organization, a team that didn't re-sign their own and didn't take care of their own. And Larry Fitzgerald is the first superstar they've had since moving to Arizona, and he has such a large impact in the community that really he's worth that money and more to this franchise, and it shows to other free agents and their own players that they're willing to do what it takes to keep them happy.
Is there a lot of faith in head coach Ken Whisenhunt?
Yes, and that has everything to do with the fact that he took this team that was a perennial loser and won back-to-back division titles, took the team to a Super Bowl. People still believe in him. Now, if he puts up another 5-11 season this year, the natives are going to get restless just because they've been conditioned to expect teams to lose here in the Valley, and I think there's a fear that maybe it was a bit of a mirage in those two division championship years, but if he can win this year, fans are going to fully believe in Ken Whisenhunt.
Lastly for you, Greg, over under 6.5 wins this year.
Easy over. I mean, when you look at, they had 5 wins last year with no quarterback whatsoever. They were in the mix for the NFC West for a majority of the season, despite how poorly they were playing. They'll easily be over that win total, especially seeing as they're playing against the likes of the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco Giants, the San Francisco 49ers. They'll easily surpass that win total.